We are here to learn about exponential descriptions and how do we take these descriptions and create the equations that they describe. Well, since we're dealing with exponential functions, all of our answers are going to be in the form y equals a times b to the x, where a is our y-intercept and b is our common ratio. So let's look at an example. Write the equation of the exponential function that has a y-intercept of 5 and a common ratio of 1/2. This is a pretty straightforward description. Y equals, we always put our y-intercept first, which it tells me that's 5. And our common ratio is 1/2, which always goes second, with an exponent of x. Why don't you pause the video and try this first you-try question. I hope I didn't trick you. This question's written a little backwards. It says a factor of 7. This word factor means the same as common ratio, which should always go second in our equation. Y-intercept always comes first. So hopefully I didn't trick you there and you got y equals 2 times 7 to the power x. Let's look at a slightly more difficult example. Write the equation of the exponential function that goes through 0, 21 and 1, 7. We were given 2 points here. My suggestion is to take these 2 points and make a little input-output table. So we got 0, 21 and we have 1, 7. So our function y equals, we need our y-intercept first. That's always the number across from 0. So it's going to be 21. And now we need to figure out the pattern that happened in our outputs. We went from 21 down to 7, so it's going to be a division pattern, and we just have to figure out what did we divide by. Well, 21 divided by 3 takes me down to 7. So our common ratio is dividing by 3. And if you wanted to write your common ratio as a fraction instead, you could have 21 times 1/3 to the power x. Go ahead and give this next you-try problem a shot. You should have gotten y equals 5 times 3 to the power x. I got one last example for you. Write the equation of the exponential function that goes through 1, 14 and 2, 98. Again, we were given 2 points, so we're going to make a little input-output table. But as you're going to notice, I'm leaving a gap at the top. That's because we were not given the y-intercept. We were not given the point 0 something. So we need to find that calculation ourselves. And the best way to do that is try to figure out what pattern was happening. Well, 14 up to 98. My numbers are getting bigger, so I know that that's going to be a multiplication pattern. And by checking a few things on my calculator, I find out that 14 times 7 makes 98. So I need to figure out, okay, what number can go across from my 0 to keep this pattern? Well, if I put a 2 here, 2 times 7 will get up to 14. So I'm keeping my common ratio consistent. And I'm finding my y-intercept. So y is going to equal 2 times 7 to the power x. I got one last you-try question for you, so please pause the video and give it a try. And if you did everything right, you should have gotten y equals 96 divided by 4 to the power x. Or if you wanted to write your common ratio as a fraction, y equals 96 times 1/4 to the power x.